This is part 4 of my lesson series on commonly used English expressions. If you missed the previous parts, then check them out in the links in the description, but you don't need to have seen them to study these expressions in this lesson. You can check them out later. As with most expressions, they make no sense whatsoever when you look at each word individually. So let's dive in and learn some amazing new expressions in common use. The shit hit the fan. Now you can probably guess that this one is quite informal since it has the word shit in it. Shit is not a word for formal occasions, obviously, and neither is this expression. So you know that this is a fan and that it can spin very fast. What do you think would happen if you threw some shit at it? It would go everywhere, right? And make a terrible mess, and someone is going to have to clean it up. It will cause them a lot of trouble. Well, that is the idea behind this expression. It's usually used in the context of when someone finds out information for the first time and there is a massive reaction. If his wife finds out he has huge debt on his credit card, the shit will hit the fan. In other words, she will have a very bad reaction and there will be consequences. When the department manager comes back from holidays and finds out that little work has been done since he left, the shit will hit the fan, and I don't want to be here when he comes back. These are perfect contexts in which to use this expression. By the way, I used find out as a phrasal verb here. This is so commonly used in English, so try using it. You could use discover, but find out is much more common. If someone is an open book, then it means that they are very easy to read. Simple, isn't it? We can use read for things that do not have words. We can read a situation, which means to understand what is happening in that moment. But we can also read a person, which means to know what they are really like or what they are thinking. So if someone is an open book, it means that it is easy to understand what they think and what they are like. That's all there is to it. To get the hang of something means to get better at doing it, and it can be used in so many ways. When I was learning the guitar, it took me a long time to get the hang of changing chords quickly. Learning a language isn't easy, but with practice, you'll get the hang of it. Really, this expression is so common and we use it every day, but mostly related to a new skill. You wouldn't use it with a new job unless there was a specific skill you needed to learn. Learning to drive is a new skill, and some people take some time to get the hang of it, and other people never get the hang of it. Now I love this next expression, which is to be thrown under a bus, or to throw someone under a bus. I don't know why I like it. Maybe it's because of the ridiculousness of the idea of throwing someone under a bus. So when do we use it? Well, we use it when we want to express that someone has been placed in an impossibly difficult situation by someone else, often deliberately, and so that they can get some advantage or they can avoid being blamed for whatever it is. Marty threw me under a bus in that meeting when he said that I went over budget to get those good results. The reason I went over budget was because of his incompetence. He has it in for me. I'll explain that expression, he has it in for me, next. Another example might be a football team manager throwing his players and staff under a bus after a defeat in an interview or press conference. Maybe he says something like they are not working hard enough or are not fit enough, and it is their fault and definitely not his. Another expression with the exact same meaning here is to be hung out to dry. Equally good to know and can be used in the same contexts. So what does have it in for someone mean? It means when you don't like someone over a long period of time and you repeatedly try to undermine them or show them to be incompetent or useless or some other negative attribute. You're trying to harm them, and it is your objective to do it repeatedly. Does that make sense now in the context of the previous expression? Marty tried to throw me under a bus again because he has it in for me. You might hear students in a school say it about their teacher. My teacher has it in for me because she always gives me more homework. Most times it's not true, of course, and it's just a perception. Don't change the expression. You can't change it for something else. And don't forget the for. The next two are types of adjective expressions that you can use to describe someone. If someone is off their rocker, it means that they are behaving in a strange or silly way, depending on the context. Synonyms are crazy and nuts. This can be in a positive or negative way, depending on the context. An example of a negative context might be if someone asks you for too much money for something. You are off your rocker if you think I am going to pay that much for your car. Maybe someone offers you a job, but you are not happy with the salary they are offering. You could say, you're off your rocker if you think I'm going to work for that. Tom is off his rocker leaving his good job to go traveling. A positive context would be Sandra is completely off her rocker. She parties till early morning every Saturday and Sunday and is able to go to work on Monday. If someone is down to earth, then it means that they are easy to talk to and good company. It is a very positive thing to say about someone. It is often used to describe someone who is famous and where it would be understandable for them to not want to engage with you as an ordinary person. I met Rafa Nadal a few times when I worked at the Madrid Open, and I found him to be down to earth. If you think about the expression down to earth, it makes sense because it suggests that the person is on the same planet as the rest of us. To take the plunge is an expression we use when we make a big or important decision, usually if we have been thinking about it for a long time. An example might be a couple who have been together for a long time and they finally decide to get married. You could say they have taken the plunge. By the way, another very colloquial expression for to get married is to tie the knot. You might be taking the plunge if you decide to buy a property. It's a big decision after all and needs some consideration. In most cases, you will need to clarify the context if it is not already clear. I've finally taken the plunge and bought a home. Now notice the pronunciation of plunge. You must pronounce that j sound. Speaking of weddings, always the bridesmaid is another commonly used expression. The full expression is always the bridesmaid and never the bride. But you don't usually need to state the second part. So you know what a bridesmaid is, right? Maybe not, because it is not that common at Spanish weddings. Well, the bride is the woman who is getting married, and the bridesmaid is her attendant on the day. If someone is always the bridesmaid, then it means that they are never the most important person in any situation in life. The meaning is quite obvious, really. If you are the bridesmaid at several weddings, but have never been the bride, then you are never the most important person at the wedding. An example in everyday use might be Jenny applied for that job for the third time, but hasn't got it again. She's always the bridesmaid. We normally use this with women only, as it would just sound a little bit strange to use it with men. If you are in someone's home, at a party perhaps, and you ask if you can help yourself to a beer or food, for example, and they reply, "Knock yourself out," you may not have an idea what they mean. Well, relax. They are saying there is no problem. Yes, knockout is a term from boxing, and knock yourself out means put yourself unconscious. That meaning can be confusing, but then if someone responds in this way, then they are being very friendly and inviting towards you. So don't think otherwise. It can be used in other contexts where they may mean to be a little sarcastic. Maybe someone is trying to do something and are not having much success. You joke with them that they are no good at this. Maybe it's an Xbox game or something like that, and they reply to you, "Here, you have a go, knock yourself out." In that context, they are being a little bit sarcastic, but not much though. They're just having a little bit of fun. There are other ways to be friendly in the situation of inviting someone to that beer in your home. You can say, "Please, help yourself," by which they mean help yourself to that beer or whatever. Now, this is really good English for those short conversations we need to have from time to time. Now, I used another phrase in the previous expression, and that was have a go. This is really common, and it can have 3 common meanings depending on the situation. Have a go at something means to make an attempt or to try something that you are not particularly familiar with. I had a go at learning Japanese once, but it was so difficult and I just lost interest. Maybe you are having a small problem with your computer at work and a colleague offers to help. They might say, "Let me have a go." Of course, you might ask them for help, and you could do so by asking them to have a go at it. Note the preposition at here. But go can also mean turn, turno in Spanish. A child might be riding their new bicycle or playing with their new console, more likely, and another child might ask if they can have a go at it, the new console or bike. Now, the other meaning is completely different, and that is when we say have a go at someone. Remember, the first one was at something, but this is at someone. If you have a go at someone, it means that you are criticizing them and not being very nice to them. Those 2 people over there are having a right go at each other, and everyone is looking at them. When I was young, my parents were always having a go at me for not doing my homework on time. Every time I see Lisa and Beth in a meeting together, they are always having a go at each other. I'm going to teach you 2 expressions here, and they both have the same meanings. They are to cut to the chase and to get to the point. They both mean to talk about the important points of the discussion and do not waste time talking about less important things. So if someone is talking and you have no idea what they are trying to say, you can politely say to them, would you mind getting to the point? Or can you cut to the chase, please? That's it. In Spanish, that would be ir al grano. Now, I used the word discussion here, and it is a false friend for Spanish speakers. To discuss or have a discussion in English is a normal conversation and does not suggest any disagreement or aggression like it can do in Spanish. Point is also a good word to know and is very commonly used. You can say things like, I don't understand your point, or what point are you trying to make? What's the point in learning English, you may be asking yourself. Objetivo or sentido in Spanish, depending on the context. The be-all and end-all. Now, this is a great expression to use if you can find the right situation to use it. If someone says that something or someone is the be-all and end-all, then they are expressing that it is the only important thing or person to them. In a very easy example, a parent might say their children are the be-all and end-all to them. That's very normal, right? In a different context, you might say about someone who is looking for a particular job, and getting that job is the be-all and end-all to them. They are not focused on anything else in their lives. I have a friend who thinks Bruce Springsteen is the be-all and end-all. In this context, it would mean that the only music they listen to, or at least the vast majority of it, would be by Bruce Springsteen. If your days are numbered, it means that you don't have much time left continuing whatever function you are doing. A good example would be a football manager who is getting bad results and will probably get the sack, which is another term for be fired, after another defeat at the weekend, and his days are numbered. This is the most common context in which we would use this expression. That is, if someone is about to lose their job. As I record this lesson, there is an election happening in the United Kingdom. We could say that Rishi Sunak's days as Prime Minister are numbered. This would be a perfect way to use it if you feel that he is going to lose the election. You could use it about someone who is very ill and is going to die soon. It's not very flattering, but it's not too rude either if said to someone who is not closely related to them. So that is it for part 4 of this mix of expressions. Let me know in the comments which expressions you like best and you think you will be able to use soon. Maybe you have heard some of them before. Let me know. Why not write a sentence with the expressions, put it in the comments, and hopefully I will get a chance to check it for you. Make sure that the context is clear though, so that I can understand it fully. Click on the links in the description for more expressions, including expressions using food, parts of the body, sport, money, many types of animals, and a lot more. Si eres hispanohablante y quieres corregir los errores comunes que los hispanohablantes cometen en inglés, echa un vistazo a mi curso en Udemy centrado únicamente en este tema. Haz clic en el enlace en la descripción y te llevará directamente al curso. De vez en cuando ofrezco promociones, así que comprueba si hay algún código de descuento. Si ya no es válido, envíame un mensaje y te enviaré uno nuevo. See you very soon.